Hello, this is Stephen McHugh for Unique Dyslexic Eye. Uh, a little while ago, I asked people to, if they had any questions they wanted me to answer, just send me an email. And so, about a week ago, I got an email from a follower about what I've been doing to keep myself motivated during COVID. Now, um, a big part of what I do with my dyslexia work has been about about well-being and about mental health with my students. Many of them are feeling the stresses and strains of COVID. If you think about it in terms of anybody who goes to a lot of students who go to university will feel experience anxiety, will experience stress, and then you on top of that you've got the stress and anxiety that comes with being dyslexic at university, which is not exactly a dyslexia friendly place to be. And then on top of that, you've got COVID. So we've got kind of like this three-layer sandwich going on, and which is many students I know, even dyslexic, disabled, are struggling to cope with. So I thought whenever I'm feeling low, anyway, in the past, a big part of my life has always been music, both as a listener and as a player and as a writer. And if I go back to my childhood when I was about 5 or 6, the school gave me a violin to learn for a Christmas show they were doing. And yep, it was a bit of a nightmare experience. I remember plucking and screeching out Good King Wenceslas, which kind of was a really strangling the cat kind of job. It wasn't exactly my thing. I don't think it went. I don't think I couldn't. I think now looking at it now, I'm left-handed and the violin was right-handed, or it seems that was maybe one of the issues really. And if I think about my school, music was always a place where I really enjoyed going to. Um, I say, at 14, I basically stopped going to school. Just refused to go. It was, I bunked off. I played the wag, or the wag, as they say. I think that's what they call it. From 14. But apart from, I went to commerce and I went to music and I went to art, but all the other subjects I basically just didn't bother with. And now my wife's going to come downstairs in a minute. I know she is. I can hear her walking about upstairs. Okay, so yeah, and but the violin gave me an interest in classical music, and I was really into classical music for a long time. And then again, when I got to about 14 or 15, I started listening to David Bowie, and I really liked listening to David Bowie. I had one of these little tiny transistor radios that I'd listen to in bed underneath the blankets. It was kind of like my naughty secret under the blankets was to listen to this Radio Caroline. That's what it was, which was the ship on the sea, the pirate ship on the sea, which kind of captured my imagination. And then basically what happened, I got a record player and I started collecting music. And then down the local youth hall, I used to take my record player down there and DJ. So I was playing Northern Soul, I was playing glam, I was playing a bit of rock, I was playing what people brought with them, and doing this DJ thing, which I did for a couple of years, and it was quite fun. And then I went into just got together with some friends and started a band, and that led on to recording stuff, and that led on to gigging, and that just led on to doing the summer festivals, dropping out for a couple of years, tuning into music and dropping out of society, which was really good. The other thing I used to do, I used to go to a place called Wembley Market in London, and I could go down to Wembley Market and wander around there quite happily all day, just looking at album covers, you know, uh, looking at album covers, looking at the ones that I like the look of, I like the feel of, and I'd just buy albums unheard. Um, the bad thing about that was I could spend a bit of money and get a load of crap, or I could spend a bit of money and sometimes I get some really good stuff. So what I thought I'd do is I thought one of the things that I've been helping me through COVID, and that's my wife. I'll be about 5 minutes, Anne. Sorry, are you? That's all right. You weren't to know. Um, I'm just trying to do something different. Somebody asked me a question, and I'm asking, trying to answer the question. So one of the things that I do is I like music. Has always been part of my life, and so one of the things I've been doing is listening to a lot of music while driving about in the car. And so I thought what I'd do is share with you some of the music that I've been listening to. I don't think you're going to find any real modern music in here at all, but that's just me. I'm just an old fart with an old fart's music taste, prog music tastes actually. So it's crazy. Okay, so one of my first albums is here. I'm going to talk about is To Watch Storms from Steve Hackett. It's probably my favourite musician, favourite guitarist. This, like with all Hackett's songs, it's got songs from various genres, from rock to prog to acoustic, and I find this particular album really good. There's a particular song with some kind of Indian music on it, which he often plays, which I really like to listen to. Like to listen to the beats and the unusual signatures on there as well. I think my favourite song on here is probably Mechanical Bride. So if you were listening to Steve Hackett, I would get this album first, and I would suggest you listen to The Mechanical Bride. I think it's quite an imaginative song. One of my fave live albums, mainly because it includes Brian Eno, who is someone I've been a fan of since 1974, so a long time. This album came out, I think, in 1976, and has Brian Eno in it, and it has a number of good people in there as well. I wish I didn't have to wear glasses. Even with glasses, I can't read this. But this is a whole live album. It's got a great version of the Beatles' Tomorrow Never Knows. So if you like live albums, I would get this album. It's called 801 Live. And the song I would advise you to listen to is Tomorrow Never Knows. So maybe have a look on YouTube or on Spotify. See if you can find the song and give it a listen. 801 Live. Phil Manzanera's on here as well. Great guitarist. Another band I've been into since, God blimey, 73 maybe, is ELO. I'm particularly a lover of the early ELO, and out of early ELO, this is one of my favourites. It's El Dorado. You can see the cover. It's from it's from The Wizard of Oz with the red slippers. It's kind of like has a theme running through it, concept album-y kind of thing. It's orchestral, it's rocky. It kind of merges rock and orchestral pretty well. I really like it. I still play it a lot today. And if I was going to advise you to listen to one song on here, it would probably be I Can't Get It Out of My Head, which I remember watching on Top of the Pops. Again, that must be 1974. That ages me a wee bit. Yeah, give it a go. You know, you might not like the idea of classical mixed with a bit of rock, mixed with a bit of jazz, but it really works quite well, and it shows what a great musician. My memory today, what a great musician Jeff Lynne was and still is. I expect he still has a good following. ELO, great band. Another one of my favourites here is Brian Eno. This is his first album from 1974, I think. It's called Here Come the Warm Jets. He used to be in Roxy Music. He used to be the keyboard player in Roxy Music. This is kind of a mixture, a cross between glam and progressive, really, I think. And maybe this was the start of me going away from glam, because I used to be quite a glam fan. And this was one of those albums that took me away from glam and moved me on to prog music. I think the best track on here is probably Baby's on Fire or Cindy Tells Me. Those are the two best tracks. Brian Eno is a fab musician. I would advise you to go and have a look on YouTube. Go and have a look on Spotify and pick up some of his music. He's played with a lot of great bands. He was David Bowie. He used to arrange for and played with. They did the Heroes and another couple of albums together. They were really good albums. He also did some stuff with Genesis. He did something called Enossification with Genesis, which was quite strange. Basically, he just added some effects to it. So that's Here Come the Warm Jets. And like I said, I think probably Cindy Tells Me. I'm going to gut plumb for Cindy Tells Me. So get on Spotify and Cindy Tells Me. Fab. Now, okay, so here's probably my fab band of all time, which is Genesis. And this is The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. It's a double album. It was the album that saw off Peter Gabriel. He basically left after this album was finished. It's a double album. It's a long album, but it has got such a lot of great songs on here. Lots of great drumming. Probably Phil Collins at his best drumming, I think. Not too much Steve Hackett guitar. Lots of Tony Banks keyboards. Some great stuff from Mike Rutherford. Some great bass playing. I think if I was going to give you a song to listen to, I would go with Broadway Melody of 74. Probably one of the best kind of tracks Genesis ever did. I think even Tony Banks said it was, he was really pleased with this, with Broadway Melody. Fab album. And this is an album that I was never got into in at all when it was out. I think maybe I was a bit too young. This is Pink Floyd's first album, Piper at the Gates of Dawn. Great album with Sid Barrett as lead vocalist, lead guitarist. Now, Sid Barrett's an interesting character because if you read about him, you can see that he was really talented. I don't think he coped well with the pressure. He got involved with lots of acid culture and lots of drug culture. He basically fried his brain, really, and his fellow band members weren't exactly supportive at the time. Although they all basically put their hands up and say they weren't really supportive at the time. And basically he fell apart. And I would, if you're interested in biographies, read Sid Barrett's biography. Do a bit of research into Sid Barrett. Really interesting character. He tried to have a solo career after Pink Floyd walked away from him, and he released a couple of albums, and there was some spark of Sid Barrett there, but basically he'd fried his brain with acid. Now, if I was going to say about one track, I would probably go for Astronomy Domain. It's probably one of their most well-known tracks with Sid Barrett. Okay, so Moody Blues, On the Threshold of a Dream. I remember somebody playing this and saying, "Hey man, listen to this." And I must have been about 15, and to be honest, it went over my head. I couldn't actually get into it really, and it wasn't until later on I bought To Our Children's Children, which I really liked, which is another Moody Blues album, and I've revisited this one and really, really kind of got into it. So at the time when I first heard it, it wasn't something I got into, but later on I did. I love the artwork. Not that you can see it on here because of the damn sticker. I've got to put damn stickers on everything. But the artwork for this is really fab. And if I was going to say about one track, I would say, have you heard parts 1 and 2? Brilliant, brilliant tracks. Okay, so it's another prog track from me, I'm afraid so. And this is Close to the Edge by Yes. It's probably their most well-known album. 3 tracks on 2 sides of vinyl. Fantastic. Bill Burford on drums, really great. I would say that And You and I is probably the best track on here. The one that I would say listen to on Spotify or on YouTube. Give it a listen, see what you think. If you like it, let me know. Come back to me. If you have any more questions, don't forget you can ask me on my email. It's Steve, STEVE _McHugh at mccue@hotmail.com, or you can come onto my Unique Dyslexic Eye page on Facebook or Dyslexic Eye on Twitter. Just look me up there. Okay, so this one might be a bit back from left field. One of the bands that I really got into was the B-52s. Now, if there was any band that was as far away from prog music as you could get, it's probably the B-52s. Now, I remember the first time I heard them, me and some friends had gone to the Royal. We'd gone somewhere. We'd gone to the Royal Observatory or somewhere like that, and to see a laser show, and Planet Claire was being played there, and we basically laid on the floor and were staring up at the laser show, and Planet Claire was just hit the spot straight away. And again, I'm going to say this album's called Planet Claire, and the song to listen to it is Planet Claire. Fantastic song. Really, really, really fantastic song. It's kind of, like I said, polar opposite. It's really kind of plain, simple music. They don't pretend it's anything else other than plain, simple music. They've got a wig philosophy. It's all about wigs for some strange reason. The 2 female singers, they're always wearing wigs, and they always look very, very 60s. Maybe I need a wig myself. What do you think? And the last one is Irobot from Alan Parsons' project. Alan Parsons helped with Dark Side of the Moon. He helped produce it, engineer it, I think. So he's got a good pedigree. This is probably his best album. It's called Irobot. Lots of great musicians on here. I like the cover, the robot and the rolling staircases on the back and the front. This one's always in the car. It's always being played in the car. And I would say the title track, Irobot, is probably the best one. So there you have it. That's one of the things that I've been doing through COVID to help me with my mental health and to help me with my well-being. I think what I'm going to have a go at doing next is probably just give me an idea for a couple of other things to do. Gets me away from doing dyslexia all the time. So I might look at console games. I might look at console games I've been playing over the COVID issue. And then another thing I'm going to look at is probably my allotment and what I've been doing on the allotment. Okay, so thanks very much for listening. Sorry if it's gone on a bit longer than I thought it would, 20 minutes. But as usual, all my podcasts, all my broadcasts are live and unscripted. So maybe I should script them, but I just think a script gets in the way, particularly for me, trying to read a script and present the thing and then play about with all the buttons at the same time. It's just too much for my poor dyslexic brain to catch up with and to keep up with. Okay, so thanks very much. Hi, Scott. I can see you, Scott. I can see you. How are you? I don't know if you can hear me. All right, so take care. Bye. Peace, love, and grooviness to you all. Peace, love, and grooviness.